All right, hello there and welcome back. So, in this episode, I want us to take a look at something very critical and important when it comes to firmware development on microcontroller units, and this is known as interrupt. Before I begin to explain the technical details of an interrupt, I'm going to use a human occurrence to explain the concept of an interrupt to you. So, whilst you are watching this video, right, I believe that if something happens that demands your attention, for example, you hear your phone ringing or your doorbell ringing, or you hear your door open, or you hear your name being called by somebody, chances are very high that you are going to pause this video and then you will attend to whatever demands your attention. And after you have finished attending to that thing that demanded your immediate attention, you will come right back to the point where you paused this video and you will continue from there. What you did right there is called an interrupt handling. So you were interrupted, right? You were focused watching this video, and then something else came up that kind of needed your immediate attention. I want you to note one key thing you did. You will most likely pause the video so that you can give your full attention to whatever demands your immediate attention, and then you come back to continue from where you left off. This is one capability of humans that makes it seem as if it is possible for us to do multiple things at a time, even though that is not really the case. We do one thing at a time. That is how much attention we can give. But we have the ability to switch context from one activity to the other and come right back to where we left off and continue from there. This is very critical when it comes to firmware development, because apart from apart from the sequential execution of your code, there are things that happens inside the microcontroller that demands immediate attention. And these things are called exceptions. So when I talk of an interrupt, it is a specific case of an exception. In ARM microcontrollers, and for that matter STM microcontrollers, there's a difference between exceptions and interrupt. And not to sound so technical, I'm going to tell you that exceptions are originated from software. Like, they originate from your software inside the processor, and interrupts are usually external. Okay, now how is your microcontroller able to respond to interrupt, and how do we even set up an interrupt? That is precisely what we are going to do. But before then, I want us to take a look at an important document. So I am using the STM32 F303 discovery board, and I'm looking for a document from ST Microelectronics that gives details, like very, very deep details about a microcontroller. Usually you won't find that in the user manual. The user manual is for the dev board that you are using. The reference manual is what gives you the details of the different addresses, the registers, their boundaries, and what you can do with them. Usually we use this document together with the data sheet, but today we are going to take a look at the reference manual. So Google for whatever MCU is found on your dev board, and if it's a custom board you have made, Google for whatever microcontroller unit you used and get into the reference manual. I'm going to explain to you how interrupt work on ST Microelectronics. And by the way, if you are new to ST Microelectronics MCUs, You might be hearing ARM and ST in the same sentence quite a number of times, and I want to help you clear it. So even here you can see, for information on ARM Cortex-M4 with FPU, please refer to blah blah blah. You see, so what is the relationship between ARM as a company and ST as a company? The relationship is that ARM, or ARM Holdings, they basically are a company that designs these microprocessors, but they are not silicon manufacturers. So they do the design, all the science and the technology and the engineering behind how the processor should work comes from them. Now, companies like ST and even Nordic Semiconductors, they buy licenses from ARM, and that enables them to produce the microcontroller unit and the boards that we purchase for practices. So what I'm going to teach you about interrupt in this video applies not only to ST. Of course, when we start writing code, because we are using the HAL from STM cube, that is very specific to ST. But the components that I will mention are generic to every processor that is a Cortex-M that comes from ARM. So that means it applies to microcontroller units or boards from Nordic Semiconductors, for instance. Okay, now that you found your reference manual, I want you to search for NVIC. So it says nested vectored interrupt controller, and you can see that right after it there is extended interrupt and event controller, EXTI. These two are what will help us to achieve what we want to do today. So basically, instead of continuously polling to check if a button has been pressed like we did in the previous episode, we are going to use interrupt now, so we don't have to check whether the button has been pressed or not. Now let me give you a brief summary and then we start writing code. So we look at this nested vectored interrupt controller. I'm not going to bother you with reading everything that is in here, and by the way, we don't have to read reference manual from start to finish. You go to the section that you need for what you want to do and then you leave it there. So the nested vectored interrupt controller is part of the Cortex-M core. Okay, it is an aspect of the processor, and the work of this particular module is to help the processor to, first of all, know that something has happened that demands its immediate attention, to help it to do the context switching. And context switching here means the processor should be able to store the current state of whatever it is doing at the moment when the interruption happened. And then it also helps the processor to know which function to execute in response to the interrupt. Now, these functions that get executed in response to interrupt are called interrupt service routines. They are special functions, not because of their names, but because they have to be in specific memory regions. And details of these functions is going to be the focus of the next video. But basically, it requires, this module, NVIC, requires that we have functions stored in particular sections of memory so that we can execute them, the processor can execute them when something happens. Now, this NVIC works together with what is known as the EXTI. I'm going to summarize this whole thing so that we can get our hands dirty. The EXTI is responsible for detecting external interrupt. And like I mentioned, an interrupt could be internal to the processor or it could be external. Internal ones are things like a timer has elapsed some period that you set, so then the processor has to respond to it. Another thing could be that the USB is notifying, the UART is notifying the processor that, hey, I have some data available, so it has to go there to process it. The EXTI is what helps with external interrupt. So let me search for EXTI. Sorry, I wanted to search my reference manual, so Control F, and I'm going to do EXTI. Let me go all the way. This is a bad way to have done it, but let's see. Okay, it's still taking me all the way here. Let me start from page 1, and then I'll search for EXTI. Okay, it's still doing the same, but I know that EXTI is all the way down here. There's a diagram I just want to use to explain things to you. Okay, so this is the EXTI. I'm looking for a particular diagram. Yes, here. So you see, for every GPIO pin on your microcontroller or on your dev board, there is a way that that particular GPIO pin can notify the processor that, hey, there is an interrupt on me. And so the processor has to go and execute in response an interrupt service request, right? And that happens because of the combination of the EXTI and the NVIC. So what happens is that you have to write your code, and we'll get our hands dirty, so don't worry. You have to write your code to configure the pin to raise an interrupt on a certain condition. The conditions could be, okay, when you detect that that pin is moving from low to high, that is called a rising interrupt. Or when that pin is transitioning from high to low, that is a falling edge interrupt. You can even set the interrupt to occur on both edges, so rising and falling. These are all possible things that we can do in code when we start writing code, right? Now, so the EXTI is a peripheral. It is external to your Cortex core processor, okay? But it works together with the NVIC, which is in the processor's core, to be able to inform the processor that, hey, an interrupt has happened on this pin, and so I need you to pause, go execute the interrupt service routine, and then you can come back to continue from where you left off. In a very brief summary, how this happens is that when the EXTI detects any of the conditions you set in code, there is a register. If we scroll down, you'll see all the registers, but because we've not started bare metal yet, I'm not going to bother you with all of these registers, but there is a pending register which the EXTI module is going to set. Okay, this is the pending register. So it is going to set that particular bit that indicates which pin is raising the interrupt. And the NVIC will be checking these registers to know, okay, once a particular bit is set, it means that an interrupt has occurred on a particular pin. And then the NVIC will then inform the processor to pause whatever it is doing and then go continue when it is done executing the interrupt service routine. One very important thing I need you to notice from this diagram is that you can see that there is EXTI 0 all the way to EXTI 15. And you can see that on EXTI 0, all the pin zeros for the various ports. So on my board, there is port A, port B, port C, port D, port E, port F, port G, port H. Yours could be fewer or even more. But all the GPIO pin zeros of the various ports are connected through EXTI 0. And this is the line on which EXTI is going to use to signify NVIC that any of these guys here is interrupting. So what it means, very important here, is that you cannot register an interrupt service routine to execute on PA0 and PB0 at the same time. Remember, this diagram here means it is a multiplexer. A multiplexer is basically an electronic component that has multiple input, but it only select one of them depending on which of the input is active. So if you register PA0 to raise an interrupt on the rising edge, you cannot do the same for PB0, PC0, PD0. No. So if you need multiple interrupt, this diagram here is telling you that use different pins so that you can dedicate one interrupt to go on a particular EXTI line. Okay, this is very important for you to understand. On some microcontrollers, for example, from EXTI 10 to 15, they all go through the same multiplexer. And this is why it is important for you to take a look at your board's reference manual in order to be able to understand what is going on. I know this has been a lot of theory, but it is a necessary theory that you need to have before we start writing code. So thank you very much for watching this, and I will see you in the next video where we write code to set up an interrupt and make it respond when we press a button. See you then.